How can I cure FND? Say it simply, nature trails in the woods. To understand the FND cure, you have to understand something in the brain that I call the habit machine. This habit machine chooses every route based on what's most well-traveled, like a trucker choosing to drive on interstates instead of back roads. So imagine your brain is a dense forest, and this habit machine is an ATV choosing which path to take. It looks around. To the left is a barely used bunny path, hardly visible in the dense undergrowth, but to the right is a well-worn, wide dirt path made by a herd of elephants traveling the same route every day. Which route will the habit machine take? You're right. As always, the habit machine takes the most well-established path. Now, you have to ask an essential question. From this one insight, many answers will spring. What effect does the habit machine itself make on the pathway it chooses? You're right. Each time any traveler takes a path, the path becomes even more well-worn and established. Nature teaches us the only pathways allowed to stay are the ones that are maintained. Whole civilizations are lost to time when nature takes over a city. Pyramids have been discovered buried under the dense canopy in the Amazon rainforest. And towns that were once bustling hubs of civilization now lay not only in ruins, but also completely covered in trees and plants. Contrast this with the Great Pyramid in Egypt, laid bare with regular human visitors and maintenance. Nature perfectly illustrates the old adage, use it or lose it. In the woods, if you don't use something, nature takes it over. Animal trails are only present because they are in use, and when they stop being utilized, they become overgrown and disappear altogether. Notably, it will take longer for the elephant trail to disappear than for the rabbit trail to go away. The difference is usage. The elephant trail is a 10-foot wide pathway of packed earth, whereas the bunny trail is just a simple string of broken branches. Nobody contests that usage equals level of establishment, and level of establishment equals time required for nature to fully take over. Now let's take this up a notch. The habit machine represents your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is responsible for 95% of your daily decision making, but here is one problem. The little habit machine has a fatal flaw. It will always choose to drive the most established path every time. Imagine your habit machine is an ATV in the woods. It's tasked with driving a mile. It looks left and sees a barely traveled bunny trail. It's so small he can barely see it. Then the habit machine ATV looks right and sees a 10-foot wide packed earth path that stretches on for miles. He wants to be efficient and travel his mile as fast as possible with no interruptions. Which pathway do you think he will choose? That's right, he will take the most established, well-worn path every single time. He's not that bright. He doesn't care about everything you should care about, but he does believe everything you tell him. You see, the undergrowth in the woods represents you, your brain specifically. The animals that make the trails represent your conscious thoughts and decisions, the ones you think on purpose when your prefrontal cortex is in charge. Your prefrontal cortex is a part of your brain that makes rational decisions when your nervous system is in the relaxed mode called rest and digest. The problem is, in conditions like FND, your nervous system gets triggered a lot, and it switches from the calm state of rest and digest to the stressed out state of fight or flight. And whenever fight or flight is in charge, you're not. Every single time you are triggered into fight or flight, your habit machine takes over all decision making for at least 20 minutes. During this 20-minute wait, you cannot access your prefrontal cortex, and rational thought is off the table. During these trigger times, your habit machine takes over, and it is governed simply by something called, you guessed it, habit. Simply put, habits are like those game trails in the woods that we described. You start developing game trails when you have conscious thoughts and you are in rest and digest. These are thoughts you consciously control, but here's the catch. These trails are also reinforced when you are not in control and when your little habit machine takes over. The habit machine has a fatal flaw. It will always take the path of least resistance every time, no exceptions. Even if that pathway is a maladaptive one that causes harm and shouldn't exist. And the horrible part about this is that every time the habit machine drives down a path Whether you are mentally in charge or not, that pathway gets stronger and more likely to be used the next time, while corresponding healthier pathways get weaker. The root cause of conditions like FND and addiction is maladaptive pathway in the brain that shouldn't be there. In FND, we don't know exactly why the FND pathway forms. We may have some theories, but the fact is that it does exist when it shouldn't. This FND pathway connects the emotional center of the brain to the movement center with a pit stop in the danger center. This nasty pit stop amps up many of the mild emotional signals it receives, triggering fight or flight and allowing the habit machine to take over your brain. A lot. This is why mild triggers result in extreme symptoms, and mild surprise can result in an overblown panic attack. So, what's a good defense strategy? You might feel that the system in your brain is rigged against your recovery, and it is. Suffering FND feels like being wrongly locked in a third world gang prison in a tiny, filthy, dark isolation cell with only a sliver of light. And understanding the brain system that puts you there feels like staring at a giant enemy soldier arrayed in full battle gear, complete with chain link body armor and a shield, just daring you to try something. Escape him if you can. It feels like if you try the wrong thing, you'll end up worse off than before. The soldier can always get meaner and you can always get sicker. He could take away the last bit of light you have. But what if I told you the soldier has a weak spot? One little link in his chain, in his otherwise flawless armor. One little chink in his otherwise flawless armor. There's a workaround, a simple workaround, a simple genius workaround. The genius of this plan is its simplicity. Are you ready? Every time the habit machine takes over, you lay down for 20 minutes, forcing him to pull off the road and wait for fuel. This strategy might not prevent him from traveling the first few feet, but it will stop him from traveling the whole mile. And 99% of the pathway will be allowed critical time to regrow vegetation. It will take time, but the maladaptive pathway can disappear. The time it takes depends on how well established it is when you start and how consistently you implement this method, but it does work. What I've just laid out is a simple version of my strong defense strategy, which is the first half of my FND cure. It took me from being bedbound and mute to being an active member of society with a master's degree in education. I'm 90% cured and I'm still making steady gains. And I would say that as of reading this, I'm about 95%. The progress is slow, but it's worth it. Every time you outplay your habit machine, you are taking a step toward healing. Keep reading to learn this defense strategy in more depth. See the research that backs up every thought. This is a reading from the Say It Simply section of FND Recovery Guide by Alyssa Black, Master of Arts in Teaching, 7 Evidence-Based Steps to Heal Functional Neurological Disorder, Volume 1. Volume 1 includes 241 scientific sources which are cited liberally throughout the book. And at the beginning of each chapter, there's a Say It Simply section like what we just read that explains core concepts more simply. So you can read this if you have FND by just kind of going to the beginning of the chapters and reading the Say It Simply sections, and then if you're curious about something, like go in that chapter and read more in depth and find the research. But if you're a medical professional reading this, you can read like everything in depth. You can see the citation, like in the book, see the citation. Then you can come back here to the back and look up the citation. And then I even included links. Now it might only get you like to the abstract or whatever, or a listing for the book, but it's a start in your search if you're looking up the original source that I cited in the book if you want to do further reading. And this is only volume 1 in a 2-volume series. I am currently writing the 2nd volume, and after that I'll probably write another 1 or 2 or 3 books. This is my first book to ever write, so I do want to, once I've gone through all the information that I want to include, I want to make like a pocket guide to make it like even easier and more simple for people to access the information. But anyway, in volume 2, there is probably over 400 sources so far. I'm in the process of writing it, but I have done most of my sources, if not all of them. And there's a lot. There's more than even this book. So this is a 7-step method to heal functional neurological disorder. Each of my steps has 7 lessons. So I have broken this down into a step-by-step method that actually outlines a real path out of FND. It does take time and it takes consistency, but it's possible to heal. I was really, really, really bad off. Like I had trouble speaking, thinking, walking, and standing up. I was a disabled person, like severely disabled. I had to give up my career teaching, and I managed to heal about 95%. And I probably started writing this when I was about 85%, and I had finished my master's degree in education, and people were wanting to know like how I healed. I had put out a post basically thanking my mom for helping me with finishing up my master's degree. She's a teacher too. And so people were wanting to know how I managed to heal, and like, because people were desperate for answers. Other people have FND too, or their kid has it, and they just want to get better. There was probably, well, I'm not going to get into the specifics of who I talked to, but there were people wanting to know basically how to heal. And I wrote this book to help other people like myself who need to heal. And I didn't have this resource when I first got sick. And that meant that even though the doctors tried to help me, they gave me cognitive behavioral therapy and medication, but that really didn't heal me. It gave me a little relief. It helped a little. Those were tools, but it didn't heal me. I was still really, really, really bad off. And I'd say approximately 2 years, I was so bad off. And then I finally started to, circumstances changed. I was able to implement changes, and slowly over time, I did get better. And so this is how I know it's not a fluke, because it's actually not something that my regular doctors did. I mean, later on I did work with a chiropractor that knew kinesiology, and she helped me out with like supplementation that my body would like. But you know, regular doctors, they tried to help me, but they couldn't heal me. But I managed to heal myself using okay, a lot of it I intuited. Like I just listened to my body and relied on information that I had before I got sick, and I was able to intuitively heal. But when I actually dug into the research, I started to be able to think again, and I dug into the research. I discovered that my method is thoroughly backed by science. And so I'm just grateful that I was able to heal, and I want to pass this healing on to you. So if you are interested in this book, it's available on Amazon all over the world, and volume 2 will be coming out later in the year. This is 2025 right now, so it'll be coming out later this year, and then hopefully more books after that. And you can also head over to my website, which is Black Family Homestead, and that is a website that we use we raise English Mastiffs, so we also use it for that. But I also have a page on there for FND Recovery Guide. So you would type in blackfamilyhomestead.com/FND Recovery Guide, and it would take you to the page with links for this book. This is solely available on Amazon, but it's available in Amazon marketplaces all over the world. So if you're not in the United States, you could find a link over there. But really the easiest way to find it would just be to go to Amazon in your local country and type in FND Recovery Guide, Alyssa Black. And my name is spelled with an I, and it should pop right up for you. So I hope this helps you guys. Good luck in your healing journey.